Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Car Series. Tonight, we've got 100 laps at my home track, Michigan International Speedway. I love this style of racing. We had a great race a couple weeks ago at the sister track in California, so it should be a lot of fun. Some great action here tonight. Again, on Green White Checker TV and the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Car Series. Definitely getting tighter as the season rolls on with the championship standings. We've still got Nick DeGroot atop the board with 356 points. Jeff Heisong only 9 points back with 347 points in second place. Craig Forsyth sits third. Matt Wagner and Eric Peterson rounding out the top five. Really kind of down to, I think, a two-horse race, obviously, with Craig Forsyth missing one race so far this season. So it's really kind of come down to Nick and Jeff. Going to be a bit of a battle there to the end, I'm sure. And with only a few races left on the schedule, it should be a lot of fun to see what we have here in store. But definitely want to introduce my co-host for the evening. We've got Andrew Wood back with us here on Tuesday night, and we're really excited to have your IndyCar expertise with us here, Andrew.
Yeah, it's great to be back there, Boomer. I'm looking at these points right now, and I can definitely tell that Jeff is very, very hungry for a championship run here. He's within 10 points of Nick DeGroot, and this is probably the best season that Jeff has ever had in the Area 51 series. He's kept it very close, much closer than Nick probably feels comfortable with, but this is definitely the kind of season that he feels like he could probably capitalize on any errors that Nick does.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff's had some great runs, great consistency all season long. He's actually got one more top 10 and one more top 5 than Nick DeGroot, but only has 2 wins to Nick's 3 wins on the season. So definitely a little bit more consistency out of Jeff. Obviously, we've seen the struggles that Nick has had in the last couple weeks, but there's still a couple races left to go in the season to try and battle it out for this championship. Obviously, we've got tonight here at Michigan. Next week, we will be at the flat track of New Hampshire, that 1 mile track. And then we go to one of the most iconic venues in all of motorsports. Will be at Indianapolis. Definitely going to be looking forward to that race. That track is probably one of the best tracks to watch an IndyCar race on, and it's absolutely designed for it, purpose built for those cars, and it should be a lot of fun to close out our season there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it'll be on the new scan of the Indy Speedway that the iRacing series has been so gracious to grant us with. So that'll be also interesting to see how the track races and any sort of changes that come along the way there. So I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, definitely gets them the chance to drive on the real deal. Some scans definitely over time the tracks obviously change and repaves and whatnot, and it's nice to see that iRacing is willing to update and go back out and make those as as up to date as possible. So we're gonna take a chance now to run through the grid for the beginning of the race here. Looks like we've got Nick DeGroot on the pole in that number 89 machine with Eric Peterson to his outside on the second row. A great qualifying effort for Eric. A lot of great qualifying efforts for him lately, as well as Matt Wagner, our pole winner and race winner from last weekend, starting in third position with Jim Herrick to his outside. Jim Herrick, our winner from a couple weeks ago. Jeff Heisong will start in the fifth position with Dan Moreira to his outside. Brian Wang and William Gunn will round out the fourth row for tonight, and Craig Forsyth and Gary Corley are the top 10. Got a couple more to go through here. We do have on the 11th spot, that'll be starting with Joseph Morales and Christian Alacio to his outside. And we have Chris Matthews and Jim Brooks. So it looks like the last four, they're electing not to take a qualifying time. So we've got 10 laps in, or 10 drivers with laps down for qualifying and ready to go. Starting to take to the grid. Should be plenty of fun for 100 laps here at Michigan. Pretty much the same sort of race that we had planned for Auto Club a few weeks ago. Obviously, we had a really long green flag run and lots of fuel mileage strategies going on here there last a couple weeks ago. So definitely expect to see that a little bit more. Sounds like Andrew, you might have a few numbers from pit road for fuel lengths and how long you can run.
Yeah, it seems that on full bore, the cars can do about 26 laps. Maybe you can save a bit to get 29, 30, but it's all going to be kind of live and based on how the track temp is and how much people can save fuel. So it'll be really, really tough to do a two-stop race from this vantage point, but we'll see. I was fooled at Auto Club when guys told me that they can only do about 28 or 29 laps, and there were definitely guys that could do upwards of 33, 34, and even William Gunn at Auto Club did 35 laps. So uh, it's a big unknown at this point. Maybe these guys can save more fuel than we think, and if a caution comes in, it's definitely going to throw it for a whole another loop.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be fun to see how the that game plays out. Obviously, the winners being Jim Herrick and his teammate Craig Forsyth on that deal. They were, definitely the ones who played that fuel strategy the best. So we'll have to see if they can kind of do it again. I guess there's one thing that we mentioned 2 weeks ago at Auto Club at the end of the race. You have an opportunity to do this again in 2 weeks, which is now. So you have that chance to reset and try and see what it might take to do it over. Obviously, I know Matt Wagner, one of those drivers that wanted to redo that race after him and Nick DeGroot got caught on the the wrong side of the fuel strategy, unfortunately. And is actually mentioning as we look, it looks like Nick DeGroot actually has not joined the field. He's still on pit road trying to grid, so I believe he missed the grid and might have to start from the pit road here. So he's in the sim, it looks like, but he will be starting on pit road. So that's definitely going to be a bit of a hole for him to climb out of here tonight.
Yeah, it seemed like Nick had some sort of connection issue there, and he had to rejoin the grid after the cars left pit lane. So it seems like Nick is going to be starting from pit lane, which will be very interesting to see if there's any sort of issues with cautions coming out. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so that will promote Matt Wagner actually to the pole position, and the leader, being the leader on the inside row, he will be the one who will start this race. Excuse me, the race will actually start on the flag man, and it actually looks like Eric Peterson is the one who was the control car on the outside, so he is underway getting it going for us tonight at Michigan International Speedway. Going to lead them down into turn number 1 for 100 laps tonight. Going to be a great event.
Yeah, one thing I kind of want to mention is that this track is a lot less bumpy than Auto Club is, so I think it'll be easier for cars to follow each other and try their best to save the fuel. But we got to see what the behavior of these drivers is. We'll know right from lap 1 or 2 if cars are going to be really going for it or trying their best to save any sort of fuel for a fuel run later in the race.
Yeah, it'll definitely be one of those things that we mentioned last time at California. You really kind of have to make that bed and lie in it early. It's not something that you can kind of switch mid-race and be successful at. You either have to fully commit to one way or the other, and there really isn't a lot of other options with, how tight of a fuel window it is. You will have some guys. Obviously, you mentioned William Gunn stretching it, I think, either 35 or 36 laps in that last race, which is very impressive. If you can do that here tonight, I think that's going to definitely, that's going to be the main strategy. We saw so many cars that flip that strategy, or we saw really two cars, Matt Wagner and Nick DeGroot, as you mentioned, flip that strategy and try to pit 3 times, and unfortunately they finished about 15 seconds off the rest of the pack, and everyone else was kind of pack racing together. But you do kind of get that a little bit here with the bigger track and the higher speeds. I mean, these cars are absolutely flying at this 2-mile track, and really behaves more like a super speedway would for some of the stock cars that we have here in iRacing. But nonetheless, it still should be a lot of action, and really the biggest goal is just not to lose the draft.
Yeah, you say the cars are flying, but you could see the cars are all single file from second all the way down to 9th place right now. So a lot of these guys have definitely committed to saving some sort of fuel. Probably just trying to see what their numbers are initially to see how many laps they could take it, a fuel save lap versus a full bore lap. So let's see what happens here. It looks like we actually have Gary Corley that's trying to make his way towards the front right now.
Yeah, there's a few guys trying to make their way up. Gary Corley is up 2 spots, it looks like, now on the inside of William Gunn there, trying to make something happen in that Jimmy Johnson themed paint scheme with the F1 themed paint scheme of William Gunn to his outside. So I was excited to see some of the fun paint schemes they have here in the league. As of right now, Gary there aren't really too many that are up many spots, but Gary's kind of leading that charge. Jim Brooks is up 4 spots, Gary Corley's up 2, Craig Forsyth up 2, and Jeff Heisong up 3. Craig Forsyth up 3 as well. But yeah, definitely.
If you notice right now, Boomer, Nick DeGroot actually has caught the pack from the pit lane. So that kind of shows exactly what the pace of these drivers is like. He had to start from the pit lane, so he was automatically about 8 to 10 seconds behind everyone, and he's in the pack and he is coming forward.
So I think that almost tells you right away how much these guys are probably saving on fuel. I would be willing to bet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to is that these guys are kind of slowing the pace down, going single file. It allowed Nick to run laps all by himself in order to get back up towards the front of this field, and he is moving. He is not holding back at all. He almost took it three wide there into turn one. He wants to get to the front.
Something tells me that he's kind of making the same strategy, plan again to just run flat out. I mean, obviously those first 5 or 6 laps all by himself, he really didn't have any draft whatsoever, so he really had to run full lean or full rich, excuse me, if he expected to get all the way back to the pack. So obviously already up to 5th place, but probably burning a lot more fuel than the rest of this field is. I'm sure Matt Wagner is having flashbacks again of that race and trying to make sure that he can save enough fuel to get to that magical 33 lap mark on this first pit cycle.
Yeah, if you can watch the bottom of the top 10, you'll notice that there's a lot of guys back here that can't really decide what strategy they want. There's a couple guys holding back through the corners. It's causing a little bit of confusion. And some of these guys in the mid pack are going to try their best to get like 5th, 6th, 7th place or something like that to save the fuel they can and be in the best spot possible for when the fuel is saved and they can go for it.
Right. One thing I want to pay attention to is that the 40, the 27, and the 26, all three teammates, Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth, and Dan Morera, they're kind of right in the middle there. They're kind of sticking to that fuel save strategy, it looks like, at least early on. And they were definitely the ones who capitalized on that at Auto Club. And obviously, I think Craig is one of the best here at fuel saving. And his teammates have, all had a lot of practice with that over the years and a lot of running that strategy together, so that should help. But we'll see. Definitely a bit of a split bag as Nick DeGroot is just charging absolutely all the way to the front here, taking over the lead now on lap number 10.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Boomer, because Craig and Dan and Jim are the guys that told me 26 laps is all you can run this tank. So they might have fooled me a little bit when I was asking them about fuel strategy before, that they think they can actually go for a two-stopper here. We'll see what happens. I was fooled at Auto Club, as I mentioned before in the broadcast, and I might have been fooled again. So let's see what happens in about 20 laps here.
Yeah, if we do get a chance to talk to those guys at the end of the race, we might have to bring that up and let them know that they can trust us to keep that information confidential, at least until the drivers get out of their cars and rewatch this broadcast. But I'll have to let them know that they can trust us just so we could put a better broadcast on with knowing those updated fuel numbers. But yeah, no, it's good. Appreciate your hard work at the beginning of the race to get those numbers, and we'll have to see how accurate they are.
Yeah, down in the paddock, I was questioning some of the race directors here about why they decided to choose the lap count they did, because these races just turn into the single file procession, which you're seeing right now, where nobody really wants to move. The guys at the bottom of the field have made their moves now, and now they just want to save fuel, and it just becomes a situation where we're trying to figure out uh, what are these people going for. Do they want to race full beans, or do they want to just sit here and save fuel? And you have two different kind of races, just going for it or just sitting around. So we kind of wish that these guys would actually want to go for it and try and race the best they can and get the best advantage they can before the first pit stop. But it seems like yet again we're here in this situation where guys are just kind of hanging back and seeing what their fuel situation is. But as I say that, some of the guys in the back here are trying to move forward. Brian
Yeah.
Wang, I'm looking at right now on the bottom.
Yeah, Dev was going to mention also Gary Corley now up to the point as well, and Jim Brooks making a lot of moves on that outside. So definitely a few guys that are trying to make their way forward for sure. Gary Corley getting a few laps led after Nick DeGroot jumped out, got his bonus point for leading his lap, and now that 7 machine is now at the front of the field with Jim Brooks working hard on the outside there. Definitely a few up. We actually have Gary Corley and Jim Brooks up 9 spots now. Even Chris Matthews is up 7 spots back in 6th place. So definitely a lot of up and down throughout the field, but like you mentioned, kind of a mixed bag of who wants to lead. No, you lead. No, you can lead. No, you lead. No one really wants to take that point, and Matt Wagner is going to inherit it again.
I think one good thing about this league, especially coming from racing in it, is that everybody kind of understands where they stand in terms of fuel strategy, and the guys will all take turns up front, do a few laps up front, burn the fuel, sit back about fourth or fifth place or so, and see where they stand. And if you look at the last lap, everybody was between 32.8 and a 33 flat from first to 14. So the whole field kind of understands what's going on right now. It's just a matter of who's going to play it out the best in order to pit last on the first stint, and best advantage for the second stint.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a game to it, and there's definitely a craft to it as well. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, about halfway through this first pit cycle here, starting to think about when they're going to pit. Obviously, by now they've kind of got a pretty good number as far as how far they believe they can go for this run. So have to see what their numbers are telling them, and if they need to save more or save less. Obviously, we mentioned a few times, kind of on the technical side of the details. There's quite a bit of fuel maps that they can run to where they're playing around with how much fuel the car is actually getting, whether they're running, I believe it's map 1 would be full fuel, and there's a bunch of different maps where basically it's as you go down you're giving the car less and less fuel, so you're not able to get as high of a top speed, but obviously if you're burning less fuel you save fuel as well. So definitely playing with that. I'm sure would expect that Matt Wagner would probably be at the front of the field doing in full rich map number 1, maybe lifting a little bit early as he gets into the corners to try and save a little bit of fuel, but further back in the pack, I'm sure everyone's playing with maps 2, 3, 4. I think 5 and 6 are some of the road course maps, but I know Andrew might be able to talk to that a little bit better if I'm making a mistake there.
You're close, Boomer. 6 and 7 are the road course maps. Map 5 is your best fuel saving map, so map 5 is actually pretty good to run if you're in a pack like this, because you're just kind of being dragged along by the cars ahead of you. So map 5 might be used by some of these guys, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place or something like that. But also depends on momentum and dirty air. So if you're getting any sort of dirty air at all, your map 5 setting may not work out so much. So it actually doesn't sound as easy as it does. You have to make sure that you're finding the clean air and you're maximizing your mid-corner speed. I'm watching Gary Corley right now. He's running probably the best race I could think of in this pack, because he made his way from the back towards the front. He's kind of finding that clean air right now. He might be running in a lower fuel map. We can't really tell what he's running in, but he's stayed with the leaders, and he's running really, really great lines, trying to find the cleanest air possible. You can see he runs the high side in 3 and 4 here. He's trying his best to keep momentum in the middle part of the corner, which is what's going to keep you going forward. And I could tell just from the exit of turn 4 that he's definitely running a lower fuel map, because he wasn't able to drag up right on the cars ahead of him. And another thing I wanted to mention is that the proof is in the lap times, right? If the leader's running a high 32, low 33, you know they're in a fuel saving situation, and they're just dragging the field along with them. So once the lap times start to pick up a little bit, you'll know that they're running a little bit faster and they've hit a fuel number that they like.
Yeah, for sure. So we've seen a fastest lap out of Nick DeGroot of 31.80. And just about everyone else in the field is somewhere around the mid 32s, maybe a low 32. But they're running 32. Like that last time around, Matt Wagner, our leader, ran a 32.85. So they're over a second off of what we know that these guys can run, just probably trying to save that fuel. So we're about 2/3 of the way through that first fuel cycle here, so we'll know in just a few short laps what could happen. Obviously, going to be fairly single file, I would expect, pretty much throughout this race, and really just want to make sure we can see everybody get onto pit road cleanly. So hopefully that's been something that drivers have been practicing before the race. So, but we had a great race, a great green flag run for 98 laps at Auto Club, and I'm sure some of these guys are expecting to have something similar tonight.
Yeah, you'll notice we're on lap 23 right now, and the guys at the front that were running full fuel, full beans, they said they could run about 26. Now they've been swapping probably 27 laps, so let's see if that comes true. In just a few laps here, we'll see who's going to bite first. We can expect in the next 5 laps to see some cars down pit lane.
Will be exciting for sure as we kind of pan through some of the field. We still have Jim Brooks up 9 spots and Chris Matthews up 7. Gary Corley also up 7. Those are kind of our leaders for the most points or most spots gained so far. Eric Peterson started up in 2nd, now back to 7th. Jim Herrick just behind him. We mentioned Jim Herrick, Craig Forsyth, teammates trying to run that fuel save strategy. William Gunn there back in 11th. Christian Alacio joining us tonight, running the 11th position right now. Joseph Morales in that target machine behind him. Brian Wang and then Dan Marrera to round out the field so far. So definitely not a lot of action, but something that we kind of expected so far, but hopefully maybe see some action as far as pitting coming soon. Probably, like you said, would expect maybe not this time by, but maybe lap 26 or lap 27, starting to think about that, especially if you're some of these leaders.
It's kind of interesting to me to see that some of these guys at the back of the field are not trying to make their way forward a bit more because they know that time is of the essence to get as close as you can to the front to have your best pit stop cycle possible. Everyone's still single file right now. Doesn't seem like the tires are as good. We got some guys that are going to be pitting soon. Matt Wagner looks like he's coming in this lap.
All right, so maybe 26 was pretty accurate there. We're going to see Matt Wagner pull down to the apron. Watch him get down, slowed up into the pit entrance there. Nice and smooth. And the field will continue on. That'll give the lead over to Jeff Heisong in the number 18 machine. Would expect these guys to... Go ahead.
So what I was trying to say at Auto Club is that it's on the first stint, pitting first is not so bad because you can come out right with the pack and get yourself some draft to maybe pull ahead of some of the guys ahead. So it's kind of a catch-22. You want to save some fuel, but you also don't want to lose the pack. So you want to do your best to have the best pit stop possible to get out right behind the pack and get the draft. It looks like Matt Wagner is coming on the apron right now. The field is coming by, and it looks like he might catch the back of the field here to get some draft to pull himself ahead of the guys that are pitting.
Look at that, too. Look at Eric Peterson. Look at that charge that he made. He's now up to 2nd position at the end of this pit cycle here, as looks like Jeff Heisong and Gary Corley, a bunch of guys are probably going to be coming in this time by the 7. Oh, the 18. Wow. Gets a little squirrely. That was one thing that we had to worry about a lot more at the 1.5 miles, but the first time we've seen it at a 2-mile track. Unfortunate for Jeff Heisong and a lot of drivers here already.
Yeah, that was, I think Jeff was just trying to time his pit entry off of turn 4 at the right possible time. He touched the apron right when it was on the worst part of the transition there, and he got the grass and shot him right up the track.
Yeah, let's see if we can, obviously we watched it live there, but see if we can get another view of it here. He just, he touched the grass. He touched the grass and got loose.
Yeah, I think he just hit the wrong part of the transition there, and it kind of spit his car onto the grass, and he overcorrected back onto the track again. So very unfortunate for trying to pit there. Like, he was so close to getting right on the flat part of the track to enter the pit lane. He just timed it a touch too early.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's see if we can back it up just a little bit here, see if we can see where he does get loose. And we'll bring it back to quarter speed here. Starts to get down. Yeah, you can see kind of gets loose and overcorrects. Looks like Nick DeGroot gets fine, but Jim Herrick and Craig Forsyth taking a lot of damage. I think just about everyone else was able to get through that okay. But we'll jump back live and we'll have pit stops. So Gary Corley already pitted, and looks like Gary Corley, Jim Brooks, Joseph Morales had already pitted just before. Or maybe they continued to get service, I believe, as the caution came out. So they're actually going to cycle up to the front of the pack, where William Gunn, Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, and the rest of the field pitting this time under the caution there. So looks like, unfortunately, I think a few drivers jumped to the pits. So Jeff Heisong jumped to the pits. So he's still getting a tow back. I think Matt Wagner also jumped to the pits as well. So they're getting a tow back to, unfortunately, their pit stall. Actually, no, I take it back, just Jeff Heisong. So that might put Jeff, I believe, a lap or two down. Unfortunately, Matt Wagner should be able to stay on the lead lap. He's taking some time to repair some damage, working on about 25 seconds sitting in the pit stall right now. So him trying to repair some of the damages that he might have gotten from that accident.
Yeah, so I could confirm that Craig Forsyth and Jim Herrick are both very damaged. They will have to take a fast repair from Jeff coming back up into the track and collecting them. Matt Wagner, actually, I believe from what I am seeing in some private chats here, he is trying to fix the penalty situation, the black flag situation. So he had to come down pit road to kind of get off the track so he doesn't hinder any progress there. So that's the reason for Matt Wagner. I don't think he got damaged at all. But yeah, Craig and Jim are going to need some damage repair.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for clarifying that as well. So that kind of worked out fairly well for Joseph Morales. Obviously, he was one of the very first people to pit. Unfortunately, obviously, Matt Wagner having to duck down onto pit road to take care of some admin things. So, definitely appreciate that work during the race to figure those issues out. But that'll give the point back to, or not back to, but to Joseph Morales for the first time this evening. Nick DeGroot stays up there in second place, and also Eric Peterson. He made that big charge towards the front of the pack just before that caution. He was kind of following your strategy that you mentioned, where you want to try and be towards the front of the pack at the beginning of the pit cycle, and he charged all the way up to, I believe, second place just before that yellow flag flew. So definitely paid off for him, and as well as William Gunn. William Gunn's sitting up in there in the fourth position. So going to be a little bit of a jumble to the standings so far, the running order. Looks like Jeff Heisong just now leaving the pit lane, so he's going to unfortunately be about a half a lap behind our leaders, I would believe, as Joseph Morales is going to be able to take the green flag. And they are underway up through the gears, so every restart will be on the leader's discretion. So it looks like Nick DeGroot actually got a really great jump on the 60 of Joseph Morales. Nick DeGroot challenging into turn number one. Looks like he's going to take away that top spot with that run into the backstretch. We'll see if Eric Peterson also has enough run to get around the 60 as well. Might try something on the high side, or no, he's going to duck low. See if he can make up that spot as well. Nick DeGroot will take back over the point here. Lead a few more laps, and Joseph Morales now fighting hard on the outside to keep that second place position, but William Gunn's going to go, no, well, let's make it 3 wide here. So a little bit of action down the front straightaway. William Gunn trying to shoot it up the middle, but looks like he's not going to quite get there, as Eric Peterson is going to seal that second place spot, and Joseph Morales will drop back to third after the restart.
Yeah, I think our fuel numbers are going to be a bit skewed here because the yellow came out right before the 33 lap mark that you'd need to make it on 2 stops under full green flag conditions. So we might see a little bit more racing this stint because people know that doing 35, 36 laps for each successive stint is not going to be easy. So I can sense that pack racing is going to begin for this stint. There might be some guys that want to save some fuel and try their best to make their last stop as short as possible. But I definitely think that this is going to be more of an exciting 2x2 racing scenario going through this stint.
Yeah, definitely. There's almost no way with everyone pitting. Most recently, a couple guys coming back down again. Jim Brooks and Brian Wang getting a little bit more fuel to pit on lap 30 there under that caution, and definitely, unfortunately, kind of cuts it short. There, like you said, there's no real way that they're going to be able to go 35, laps. 35 laps each stint there to try and make it. That's definitely way too much fuel to stretch. So, your prediction's already kind of coming right, where we've got a lot of drivers 2x2 throughout the field. Pretty much at this point, I would think that you want to just kind of get to the front and kind of stay there if you can. And looks like Craig Forsyth up to the second place position and already getting a little bit of aggression there, trying to make some moves, make some blocks to try and keep that second place position. But Eric Peterson having a good run tonight, still sitting strong there on the outside, trying to keep that second place spot. Joseph Morales there jump it back to the fourth position, and Dan Morera promoted to the fifth position. So definitely a lot of moving around, and definitely going to be a more exciting stint, I think, here, like you mentioned.
Yeah, Boomer, can't you tell the difference between what we saw in the first stint and what we're seeing right now? And in the first stint on lap 2, everybody went single file immediately. And right now you're seeing everybody's fighting for every inch of racetrack that they possibly can get. Everybody wants to try and find some small advantage over anybody to get to the front right now. Uh, Not to the front necessarily like P1, but they want to get right up there so that they're sitting on the second row of the 2x2 racing, so that when the time strikes, they can monitor what's going on with the guys ahead of them, find their way to the front once the pit stops occur.
Yeah, definitely a lot more excitement so far. You see Craig Forsyth is trying to make moves up, trying to make moves on the high side there. Joseph Morales is going to get a little bit wide there, but Craig in the 27 kind of, trying to make a move, trying to see what he could do to get alongside of Nick DeGroot. Not as much that he can do, but still able to stay there in that second place behind him. Eric Peterson still managing to be that first car on that outside lane there, really. So they're really kind of settled in, but you can definitely tell everywhere in the back of the pack, everyone's just kind of swapping spots and running up and down, and definitely makes for a unique style of racing. I don't think this is extremely typical to have a pack style race here in these Indy cars, but this is definitely one of the bigger tracks that allows for that kind of action.
Yeah, looking at row 4 or so back, where Gary Corley, Christian Alexo is, and these are the guys that are trying their best to find any sort of clean air possible, because they're getting just so much dirty air from the cars ahead of them, and they're the ones that you have to watch for side-by-side racing and make sure that they don't find themselves pushing up the track into the car next to them, because they're definitely the ones that are having the most difficulty finding any sort of clean air from the 3 rows ahead of them. You can see Gary Corley actually just had a slight bit of contact there with Christian Alexo, and it's going to get a little dicey right here about row 4 back.
Yeah, definitely, and I would assume that a lot of these guys, especially back in the track there, back in the pack there, probably trying to play with the weight jackers to try and adjust that balance in the that dirty air there. Would you expect even on a track like this?
Yeah, definitely, especially because they can't find any dirty air at all, because every single row ahead of them is taking it from them. So basically, the guys that are sitting in the bottom of the top 10, 11, 12, 13th, they're just going to go ahead and save some fuel and make their last stop as least as possible there.
Yeah, we definitely kind of see Brian Wang and Chris Matthews there in 12th and 13th. Just kind of settling in, single file. Jim Brooks back there as well, just trying to avoid some of the chaos. Definitely kind of settled in here, still double file about 4 rows back. Some connection issues there for the 7 of Gary Corley, but Nick DeGroot still kind of quietly leading this race as Craig Forsyth's really just trying a bunch of stuff just to see what he can do. He's going to try and get there to the inside. Looks like he might actually make a pass for the lead here, if not maybe try and lead a lap, but definitely able to fake Nick DeGroot out and try to get to the inside. Is almost going to be 3 wide at the line, but Nick DeGroot going to continue to lead this race. Teammates of Craig Forsyth and Dan Herrera on the second row, side by side. William Gunn there in fourth or fifth on the bottom row, and Eric Peterson still holding that outside lane strong. So not a lot of jumbling up and down with this pack style racing, but definitely a lot of action. And I'm really surprised these guys are driving pretty aggressive. I would think for what's fairly still early on in the race, only about just about not even halfway yet.
I need both of my hands to count how many times I raced Nick DeGroot at Michigan, and I promise you he is not coming off that yellow line whatsoever. As I said that, off the yellow line, but yeah, he's great at defending the inside. If he could find a way to race the entire 2 mile track here right on the yellow line, he will do it, and it'll be next to impossible to find a way by him. So it looks like he's actually trying to find something that's more beneficial for his the way the car is set up, for sure, because he can't hang on the yellow line quite yet. He still might be playing around with it, but he is dictating this race right now, and he's making sure that the guys in row 2 behind him there stay right behind.
Yeah, definitely. He's kind of, I mean, the closest thing that I can think of is watching Dale Jr. At Daytona, watching him go up and down and try to block each line. It looks like he's gonna actually let one slide through, and Craig Forsyth's gonna get to the bottom there. Had a good run that Nick wasn't expecting, and he went up to block William Gunn, and now he's got one lap led for Craig Forsyth. Although it looks like Nick's gonna have a good run into turn number one, still trying to take control of this race by leading both of those lanes there, or blocking them, but looks like Craig Forsyth actually going to have enough to stay there. So that puts Nick DeGroot the first car or the second car on the inside row. Eric Peterson's just behind him, and William Gunn's actually leading that outside lane with Dan Marrera behind him, and it looks like Matt Wagner behind that as well, back in sixth place. So definitely a lot of positions that can change really quickly when you got so many cars so close together in this pack style of racing. But now you can definitely tell that Craig Forsyth is just kind of trying to settle in. Really, I mentioned not much changing. Obviously, Craig getting the chance to control the race, but Nick just kind of playing the same moves that Craig was trying before. Settled into that second place position, trying to pull alongside whenever he can, but definitely going to take a little bit for Craig to slip up off that bottom for Nick to get back around him.
These guys are looking for every inch possible they can on this track right now. Craig is actually running the yellow line a lot better than Nick had been in previous runs. Maybe Nick wasn't feeling so comfortable with his in-car settings to run that line consistently without having some sort of issue with any sort of loose or tight conditions. So, looking at the lap times compared to last stint, everybody's in the mid-32s again. So that's another indication that these guys are not holding anything back right now. And guys like Joseph Morales or Jim Herrick here in the bottom part of the top 10, they know that it's time to move forward right now. They're saving some fuel, but they're just trying to read the cars ahead of them and see if there's any sort of indication that they can get ahead.
Yeah, and it's funny because we say the bottom of the top 10, but Jim Brooks in 10th place is only 0.7 of a second off of the lead, so definitely quite a bit of close racing here. Really the only one that's kind of not involved in this is Jeff Hysong. He is about a lap and a half behind the field, kind of all by himself. He's on the backstretch where our leaders are currently passing the start-finish line, so got about a half of a lap behind them. He's running pretty similar times to our leaders, so really the draft not making that much of an effect on these Indy cars as far as speed, but definitely for the dirty air and generating runs at least. So definitely fortunate enough for Jeff to be there. He's in that spot one lap down where if another caution were to come out, he would be the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap, which I'm sure he's just patiently waiting for. A bit of aggressive block there on the outside by the 6 of Matt Wagner as he pulls onto the inside of Nick DeGroot now in the middle. Man, 6 cars, pretty much 2 rows deep. This has been exciting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's getting to be about the time now where you can't run 2x2 anymore because the tires are starting to go off a bit. I just watched Joseph Morales go through turn 1 on the previous lap and push up about 1.5 lanes all by himself with no dirty air at all. So I think that's the indication that all these cars need to get up to the wall and get back to single file again and maybe poke a lane down to make a move if they feel confident in doing so.
Yeah, definitely. We're probably getting pretty close to pit stops again. Most of these drivers pitting last at lap number 29, going 26 laps on top of that would be about lap 55. So we'll have to wait and see if that is the plan. Wow, 3 wide. William Gunn's holding strong there on that second lane. Matt Wagner trying to make it work on that outside. Nick DeGroot trying to get back to that point on that inside line, but William Gunn is holding it strong there.
Yeah, Nick had no option to get any clean air in turn 3 at all there. He's pinned to the yellow line now, though, as you can see. He's probably felt a little bit more confidence. You're going to see him doing that in the next stint for sure.
Yeah, for sure. You can kind of see how he ended a little bit lower than Craig Forsyth, but Craig getting a little bit of a better arc into the corner, kind of riding that first seam there, just above the that yellow line. So definitely a lot to go. But Gael just asked in the chat, how are we looking on fuel straight forward to the end, or some strategy available? Well, Gael, if you had been watching the whole race, you've been knowing that we've been talking about that quite a bit. and we will be about ready to make our second pit stop of the night. We'd think some of our leaders probably coming in next lap or so, and definitely going to have to pit. Everyone will have to pit at least one more time. There's no way that they can stretch it to the end with that caution coming out around lap 28.
I'm sensing the leaders right now are trying to stamp their authority at the front. William Gunn just tried to pin Matt Wagner down in turn 3 to show him, hey, I'm here. Oh, he just made another move there. He wants to lead. He wants to be up at the front, and Matt's gonna have to really fight him hard for it.
Yeah, definitely. Took a second there to pan back to Joseph Morales. He's actually in this time, so he was maybe getting getting a little squirrely, burning out those tires, or maybe not better, having a little bit of an issue with a little bit of fuel save. But he is in this time, so he's going to pit there lap 54. Looks like everyone else is going to go to at least lap 55 here. Trying to get as much as they can.
Peterson just touched the apron there.
Yeah,
that was very close.
Yeah, he backed off quite a bit there, lost a little bit of ground there, unfortunately. But it looks like Joseph Morales is going to get out and have some bit of draft, I would expect. See if we can get a.
and Peterson are pitting this lap, so.
Okay.
We're continuing the string of pit stops here.
All right, so we'll pan to our leaders, see those guys get onto pit road. Hopefully they get down clean. No problems. Looks like a little bit of tire lockup, but shouldn't be too bad there. Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, and Brian Wang in this time. That will give the lead, the lead will stay, I should say, with Craig Forsyth here. Gonna try and stretch a few more laps out of the fuel if he can. Obviously, the longer you can run, the less you'll have to put into the car later. But yep, yeah, looks like
Gunner coming in.
Yep, looks like it. Looks like maybe Dan Morera too, maybe not. Nope, not quite. So Forsyth in, William Gunn in, big lockup for Craig there. Hopefully he gets it slowed down enough. Penalties would absolutely destroy anybody's chances here tonight. Especially,
it seems that these guys that just pit have had a difficult pit stop because the leaders are pulling away. They're not going to catch the back of the draft here. Yeah, 26 and 6 are coming in this lap, so it's getting smaller and smaller up front.
Yeah, definitely with a lot less cars in the front pack here. There's a lot less energy and there's a lot less draft to pull it around. Looks like Chris Matthews is going to come down this time as well. So 3 guys on pit road this time. That will inherit the lead to Jim Herrick and Gary Corley. Jim Brooks just behind them. You can see them going into turn number 1, passing. Was it the 7? I believe, or not the 7? Some of the guys ahead just pitted. I think it was Joseph Morales actually. So unfortunately for them, definitely a less of an advantage. When you're getting passed by the leaders in turn number 1, you're not going to come quite out with them. But we'll see. I think we saw a lot of that at Auto Club where people were able to make up 4, 5, 6 seconds to the pack over time if they were able to kind of run harder. So if you are that far back off the lead, shouldn't be too much of a danger, but. You can definitely see that they're not quite getting up to speed, although looks like Matt Wagner is actually going to keep in touch with this lead pack here, so that's a great opportunity for him.
Keep an eye on Nick DeGroot in this pack right now. He has clawed his way back from pitting out. He is flying his way through this entire pack that has not pitted yet. Like I mentioned before, these guys that come out right behind the pack, they're going to be running the fastest laps on their new tires, just catching the draft of the guys ahead of them, and Nick is going to pass Craig right now.
So Nick is actually getting his lap back right now, and Joseph Morales just behind him will also be looking to get that too. So he is 1 lap behind Craig. I believe Craig is not the only one who hasn't pitted yet. Oh, no, apologies. Craig did already pit, I believe. So they'll actually come back around.
Yeah, they'll be the leaders.
Yep, you're right. Perfect. Yeah, so they'll actually come back around. So Craig will resume the lead, and Nick DeGroot will be here in second. Joseph Morales is actually going to be up to, or no, sorry, is that Joseph? Yeah, Joseph Morales will inherit third place. Yep, there we go. Now we'll see them pass Jim Brooks. There, the running order is now accurate. Okay, so that'll give the lead back to Craig Forsyth, Nick DeGroot, Joseph Morales, Matt Wagner, and William Gunn. Eric Peterson's still hanging out just outside of the top 5. Brian Wang actually had a really good pit cycle, gained about 5 spots on that cycle there, back up to the 7th position where he qualified. Jim Brooks in 8th, Gary Corley in 9th, Dan Morera in 10th. So a little bit of a gap here that we see, as it looks like Jim Herrick is still actually on pit road, so I would assume potentially damage and or a speeding penalty.
Yeah, I'm checking right now. It looks like might have been a speeding penalty, but we'll see.
Looks like with the time he's spending on pit road, potentially a
Oh,
speeding and a pit
he had
road
contact
violation.
actually.
Oh wow, okay, contact.
He had contact with Christian Alexo on entry. Looks like he might have slowed up a little more than Christian expected him to,
Hmm.
and hit him in the right rear
Yeah,
just a bit.
don't know if we'd have a ability to go back and see that. Unfortunate, but definitely, yeah, that's going to take Jim pretty much out of this race. So he's going to be back in that 14th position. But we're still moving along here, just about 2/3 of the way through this race. Craig Forsyth still running that bottom yellow line, or white line, excuse me, just trying to control that race from the bottom. Obviously, Nick DeGroot's still hungry to get back around him, but until Craig makes a mistake, it's really his race to lose. But obviously, we still have one more pit cycle to go. A little bit more freedom here to choose where or when they're going to actually pit. So most of these guys pitting around lap 58 or so. Gives them about 42 laps. We mentioned you can go about 26 laps on fuel at the minimum. So they've got about 10 to 13 or so, 12 laps to play with. Pitting early or pitting late. So, it's going to depend on whether they want to come in as soon as they are able to and fill it full of fuel and go the rest of the way, kind of back into that final lap count, if you will, for that final fuel run, or go as long as they can, burn out their tires a little bit longer on a longer run, and then fill up the car with a little bit less fuel at the end, less time on pit road. So we'll have to see who's going to split that strategy, but I would expect if one of the leaders starts to do something that the rest are going to follow suit. So have to see who blinks first, but for now it's still Craig Forsyth and Nick DeGroot at the point. William Gunn working hard on that outside lane. Jim Brooks back up to fourth place, trying to get around Joseph Morales, who might actually, will still stay in that. Actually, yeah, Joseph Morales and them switching back and forth for fourth and fifth right now. But yeah, definitely we hit the 2/3 mark of this race. A lot more excitement than there was at the beginning when it was just feel safe mode.
Yeah, I got a prediction for this last stop here, Boomer.
I like it. Go for it.
So what I was mentioning before regarding pitting and coming out and getting the draft from the pack, you want to try and be a little bit sneaky about it because you know you'll get some extra track time here if you're able to come out in the back of the pack and make your way back up towards the front again. So it's actually going to be very dynamic based on what the cars around are doing, just like you said. So if one guy pits, they may not pit right away, but if they see that, say, Nick DeGroot pits first, he comes out, everyone passes him through turn 1 and 2, and he manages to find his way through a bunch of cars on fresh tires towards the front. It's time to dive in because you know that you're going to be in the same situation. But once we lose the energy at the front, like we noticed for those cars that are pitting lap after lap after lap, it's gonna lose its luster. So the guys that pit first are definitely gonna have the advantage with more draft cars. But if everyone jumps in at the same time, that car is gonna be left out all by himself.
Yeah, and we did see that with Nick DeGroot because when he came out of the pits, he was probably about 6 seconds, 8 seconds off of the pack and was able to make his way back through there. Whereas as that pack kind of fizzled out, some of these guys like Dan Morera in ninth, Chris Matthews in 10th, Gary Corley didn't have those opportunities, and now they're kind of stuck about 4 seconds off of the pack. Christian Alessio also about 10 seconds back, and unfortunately they're not going to really have a lot of opportunities to catch back up with that much of a gap. But during that middle of the pit cycle, we definitely saw Nick DeGroot capitalize from that. He pitted from the second position, but he still came out that far behind, but was able to make it up because he came through early. So who knows? Maybe it'll be something of you have to pit as soon as possible, and if you don't, you kind of have to, maybe try and run it out further. But we'll see. Definitely going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's just a matter of who's going to bite first. This is all it's about. It's going to be who wants to be the first guy to come in and risk it. Risk it for the biscuit, right? You got to try your best. You got to try your best to outsmart everyone around you, but no one's going to want to jump out of line right now to do what they know they can do. I'm going to predict somewhere around the lap 80 range is where you're going to see the first guy get a little bit antsy and say, this is how I'm going to win this race. I'm going to pit right now.
Yeah, that'll definitely be kind of splitting that this last two stints here in half as William
Ooh, a
Gunn,
little touch there.
yeah, gets a little close enough to make some contact with Craig Forsyth. Williams still having a great run tonight, up 6 spots, trying to see what he could do on that outside. So is Jim Brooks there, back in third place now. He is up 11, now 10 spots tonight as he's scored back in the fourth position. So as Nick DeGroot, wow, sent it into turn number 3 and 4, and he's back up to second place. But still a great night. Craig Forsyth up 8 spots that we mentioned. William Gunn up 5. Jim Brooks up 10. Joseph Morales also up now 6 as he's scored in 5th place, but definitely a great run for some of the guys who kind of qualified closer towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, this caution that we had about towards the end of the first stint there really kind of opened up a lot of action for us and a lot to talk about because these guys kind of run 2x2 through turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Then when they get to the back straight, they're looking for that middle line to shoot right through the middle there, and they haven't been able to find any situation. But you could tell the behavior of the cars after they exit turn 2 is how can I get ahead of the guy in the row ahead of me, and it keeps closing off. But it's very exciting to watch to see how they can outsmart the guy next to them or ahead of them.
Yeah, definitely. One who's doing it pretty well is Jim Brooks. He's actually promoted himself to second place now. Got ahead of William Gunn there. He's trying to see what he can make happen. It's definitely difficult to get past that leader who has that clean air anywhere but on the bottom. But you can still make those passes on the high side if you're further back in the pack. And obviously Jim Brooks is going to have a good opportunity down the backstretch here to try and pull alongside the 27, see what he can do to try and get himself in the lead. But I don't think that he's going to be able to make it there before the entrance to the corner, and we'll see the 27 kind of scoot away as the shorter way around the bottom of the track on the inside of the corner is a little bit faster through 3 and 4.
Yeah, you could definitely tell through 1 and 2. You watch the pack go through it right now that you could tell how worn the tires are based on how much they push up. So you got Eric Peterson there that kind of pushed up a little bit, but not too bad. These tires aren't going off too badly quite yet, so they still got about half a stint left. But yeah, I imagine around the lap 81, 82 areas where you're going to see the first guy dive in, trying to make his mark. Oh, actually, we got Joseph Morales coming in right now.
Yeah, he's kind of pitted earlier than everyone else. So no, we actually see the 89 get to the inside of the 27, see what they can do, see if Nick DeGroot can actually take back this lead. But a bit of a rare mistake from the 27 as he jumps off the bottom. Nick DeGroot is definitely going to take back the lead, I would think, through turn number 3 and 4 here. But they're even right now. Oh, he is pitting. Okay, thank you. So Joseph Morales jumps first. Nick DeGroot is going to jump second. We'll see if anybody else chooses to stick with that strategy. Nick DeGroot's going to pull off on a pair. Oh, Nick DeGroot!
Way fast. Yeah.
Wow, that is going to.
Yeah, he entered way too fast into turn 3 and 4, and he whacked that wall pretty good.
Wow. Brian Wang coming down this time as well, and he is down clean without problems. But man, that's going to definitely hurt Nick's chances tonight. Definitely a little bit of damage that he might either have to sit and repair or just have to deal with through the rest of the race, unfortunately. But that's going to...
Might have a fast repair still left to go.
Good point.
Take
that and...
Yep. But he'll lose a little bit of time from the spin. And
Craig coming in this time. Wow, aggressive for the 27 of Craig Forsyth. A bunch of lockup. He is going to answer. Definitely, like you mentioned, people are trying to, blink who blinks first, and everyone's going to try and come. But I would, like you mentioned, you'd expect to maybe see a few guys not continue to come down as the front pack here has really kind of been completely fizzled out. We really only have Matt Wagner, Jim Brooks, and William Gunn in this top 3 battle. You have to go 4 seconds back to Dan Morera and Chris Matthews to get to the rest of the top 5, as it looks like Matt Wagner is going to pit this time. He locked up a little bit, but not sure. I think he got away clean. The 36 of Eric Peterson also in this time, so that'll inherit the lead to Jim Brooks and William Gunn. So we'll see. It looks like Craig Forsyth's going to actually be able to get out just with these leaders here. So hopefully he can draft with these guys and stick with them.
Yeah, there's no energy in any pack right now. So if you haven't pit yet, it's time to, because everybody that just pit's going to find each other, help each other out with some swap drafting, and then it'll be game over for the people that decide to stay out the longest. There's nothing to gain by staying out right now.
So Craig Forsyth is still in first of all the drivers who have pitted. He's ahead of them, I should say. I shouldn't say he's currently scored in the 6th position.
Jim
But
Brooks is pitting this lap.
yep. So do you think with Craig's drafting partners right now, they're about to pit probably. Do you think that's going to hurt him, or it looks like he might have a pack just behind him to be able to get back to?
Yeah. Again, it's as long as William Gunn's in the lead, then it works out. But Craig is going to do everything he can to get his lap back, because if a yellow comes out, Craig will be on the lead lap and will cycle to the front. So William Gunn is the leader right now, kind of boxing everyone a lap down. He's actually pitting this time. Back to what I was saying before. If you're in a nice pack with a lot of energy and a lot of forward momentum moving in the pack, you're good. But then as soon as the pack falls apart, you have to pit, because there's no benefit to staying out, because everybody that pits is going to find each other, and they're going to make their way forward by just doing faster lap times and less cars at the front.
So it looks like very fortunate for the number 89 machine. It looks like Jim Brooks is also going to get
wow,
back.
That was very close
Yeah.
between Forsyth and Brooks. Wow.
Yeah. Looks like Brooks is going to be able to get back to this front pack, so he timed it very well as far as his pit stop. But it looks like we're just going to have a group of our top 5 runners, and absolutely lucky for the 89 machine of Nick DeGroot to be able to get back up here. Looks like we do still have a few stragglers. We're actually going to see Dan Morera and looks like Christian Alacio, who have not pitted yet. So
Dan Morera is coming in this lap.
Okay, Dan Morera in this lap. Christian Alacio is here, scored in the 2nd position right now. He's running with Jeff Heisong and Gary Corley. Gary Corley currently in the 11th position and Jeff in the 12th position, 1 lap behind them. So definitely not a ton of help here, but it looks like everyone in this group has pitted. So the last two, Dan Morera in this time. We'll see if Christian Alacio jumps and comes in this time, but he's really the only one who hasn't pitted yet. But that will inherit the lead eventually to Craig Forsyth, as Christian Alacio is going to continue for at least one more lap.
Yeah, so William Gunn came out behind the pack. He's going to be just outside the draft range, but with the way that these guys are racing, especially Craig and Nick at the front, they're going to be stealing the bottom line. William's going to have no problem at all getting back up to them in the draft. Matt Wagner, same thing. So they came out a little bit slower. Like I mentioned before, William Gunn waited just a smidge too long to pit, but it all worked out anyway, because everybody's kind of fighting at the front, so he's going to wind up getting the draft again anyway. And so we'll see what happens from here. Craig and Nick are trading blows big time. The last few laps, they've been chopping and squeezing and pinching every single bit they can. So I don't know what these guys from 3rd through 6th are going to do, but they got to find some way to take some advantage somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Got to get up there and got to get in the mix, but definitely been a great run for Joseph Morales so far. He's been the one who pit first on every single pit cycle so far, and was able to get back to the front of the pack. So he was definitely the one who's everyone else has answered as far as pitting first and everyone following. But Nick DeGroot definitely lucky to get back to 2nd place after that issue on pit road. But Jim Brooks is there too. He had a very great pit cycle, and so did Brian Wang.
Wagner's coming.
Yep, Matt Wagner getting back to the back of the pack, and William Gunn as well. So Matt Wagner wants a piece of this action. He says, I want to try and win 2 weeks in a row. But that's going to put Nick DeGroot back to, I believe, the 5th position for now. But still plenty of laps to go with 15 laps here. And Jim Brooks, always great at running that outside line, is going to see what he can do to try and get around the 27 machine. But definitely as you get into turn number 3 and 4, that bottom line is always dominant, and it's really tough to get a run back to the outside. It's easy to do down the back stretch, but not the front stretch.
Yeah, credit to, Nick made a great elevator move there from bottom to top and found a spot. Let's see if he can carry any momentum into turn 2 here. I did want to give some credit to Joseph Morales. Like you said, you don't get up there without having some solid pit stops. So he managed to pit early, execute on the pit lane, and come out and get that draft that I was mentioning before, and put himself in a position where he's running for a potential podium or even better here. So definitely a great run tonight from Joseph Morales, kicking it with the top guys here and seeing what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. Joseph Morales had a pretty good time as far as time spent on pit road between the lines. Craig Forsyth had the fastest time between the in and the two lines for the speed limit of pit road. He was definitely the fastest, but the second fastest was Jim Brooks, and I think that's what was able to get him back to this pack and stay with it there, even after staying out a little bit later. So Jim Brooks definitely the wow, a lot of aggression from the
Craig
27
hit
and 89.
Craig hit the bump there at a turn 4. Absolutely hit the bump and upset the car. Uh, the little transition there going onto the pit road, he hit that. But it's interesting. I'm watching these guys race, and they're leaving the middle open the last couple laps. There's been a car that slid down the middle on the back straightaway, like I was mentioning before. The guys that were jockeying for position at a turn 2, trying to find that advantage going up the middle. The last few laps, people have found their way up the middle. William Gunn 1 lap and Matt Wagner another lap. So these guys haven't ramped up the aggression yet, but it's getting there. Guys that are on the bottom right now need to find a way to get to the middle or the top, because the tires are going to start to wear. There's not going to be any air for them down there, especially from like P3 and back. As you can see, some guys are switching lanes in the third row here. So they're trying to find a way any way they can.
Yeah, definitely. Still a lot of action left tonight with about 10 laps to go, it looks like, at the stripe. Craig Forsyth still trying to hold on to that position in the point. Nick DeGroot trying everything he absolutely can to get to the outside of that 27 machine, but not enough. He's going to try and get to the inside, and he does as he backs off there just a little bit.
Hey, how about Brian Wang? Is this his first Area 51 start? He's mixing it up with top 5 right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we've mentioned he was one of the ones who pitted a little bit early. Obviously got ahead of Nick DeGroot when Nick DeGroot had that issue with the pit wall. But yeah, I mean, a great battle. I mean, you can see he's there. Third car on that inside lane had a good run down into turn number 1. Definitely a great effort to be with this lead pack. Pretty much as long as this stays green and nothing else happens, can't do worse than 7th right now. So that'll be a great night for his first start here in Area 51.
Yeah, Brian Wang was very aggressive on the first stint when everyone was single file trying to make moves to get up front, and everybody was just freight training him on the outside. And I remember he was dead last at the first pit stop there, or before the first caution. So he's definitely learned a few things, just trying his best to find his way in this pack racing. And yeah, definitely up to potentially a top 5 here is a great improvement from 60 laps or so.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's definitely a bit of a cliche, but you see the leaders just about 3 wide into turn number 3. You really can throw a blanket over them. This pack, I guarantee, in the next 8 laps, 7 laps to go at the stripe, there's going to be a lot of position changes. We'll see, though, if anyone has anything to take that top spot away from Craig Forsyth. But we've seen just about everybody from 2nd to 7th in any of those positions in the last 10 laps or so. But Craig really just trying to hold strong on that inside lane. Everyone has enough fuel to make it to the end. So as long as a yellow does not come out, this is going to be our pack that is going to be fighting for that lead. And hopefully, if you saw a yellow in about 2 or 3 laps, you might not be able to finish under green. So definitely kind of closing that window, as there are no green-white checkers here, funnily enough, on Green-White Checker TV in the Area 51, Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar Series.
Yeah, Craig is running the Nick DeGroot yellow line that I was mentioning way earlier in the race. No one's going to get past him unless they outsmart him for sure. He can't get off the yellow line at all. You can see he's just pinned on the shortest distance possible around the whole track. That's going to prove very difficult for anybody in the 2nd or 3rd row is trying to any sort of move there up. He just has a slight yaw over that bump there, and that might be just enough for someone in the middle lane to get him.
We'll see. Jim Brooks, I was going to mention, he's having a great night too. He's going to have a really good run here into turn number 3, as we see Nick DeGroot actually all the way ahead of the 27 machine. He would be able to close the door if the 51 wasn't there. They're going to be 4 wide through turn number 4 this time by. Wow,
watch out for that bump, Craig.
Yep.
Hit it again.
Not enough for them to have enough momentum to get back around the 27, but that 51 and that 89 are absolutely there. They are able to stick with the 27. Now you see the 89 fading a little bit, but he'll have a good run. 51 able to stay to the outside of the 27. Not going to have as good of a run down the backstretch as he did last lap, but that was exciting to see those guys go 4 wide into turn number 3.
Yeah, that was all a byproduct of Craig hitting the bump, that everyone on the outside had momentum. But now that he's gathered back up again, the low line is the way to go. As long as you're in the right in-car settings, you should have it. So these guys have to find some way to work together to push their respective line to get ahead of the inside, and it just doesn't seem like the inside's going to be able to give it up unless there's a mistake.
Yeah, we'll see. Nick DeGroot's got a huge run on the outside, but he's also got to clear the 51 machine as the 6 tries to get there too. We saw a couple laps ago the 89 would have been clear the 27, but he was
Joseph
not
Morales
clear.
Got clean air. He's going to move into 5th place here coming out of 4.
All right, we'll have to see if he gets a run. Going to come to the stripe. 2 laps to go. Craig Forsyth still trying to paint that white line, and everybody behind him, Jim Brooks and the 89 of Nick DeGroot, trying to find their way around that outside to get a good run down the backstretch and be clear into turn number 3 to go from the top to the bottom to close that deal. We'll see this run here, see if Nick DeGroot can get to these leaders as he's just out of frame, but not quite going to have the run this time by. But it will be the white flag coming to the line for Craig Forsyth. 1 lap to go this time by.
It's just so frustrating if you're 5th, 6th, 7th. You know you can't do anything unless someone really, really epically messes up. So, yeah, we're on the last lap right now, and let's see who can find some sort of advantage somewhere. Take us through it, Boomer.
Definitely a great run for the 14, able to get to the outside there, but he doesn't look like he's going to have a great run down the backstretch. We'll see the number 27 still on the inside line. The 89's blocked by the 14. The 51 still holding strong, kind of pinching the 27 down to the inside. See if anybody's got enough to have a run around the outside. Jim Brooks trying to make something happen. He's going to get to the outside, but not quite anything else. Matt Wagner going to try and make it a 3-wide finish here. We'll see if anyone has anything. No, they do not. It's going to be Craig Forsyth around the bottom, taking the checkered flag, I believe his 3rd of the season. Definitely a great battle for him to get to the inside of that 89 and stay there for the rest of the race. Definitely a hard-earned victory for that number 27 machine. A great finish for the rest of our top 5 as well.
Yeah, Jim did everything textbook possible to get Craig to mess up in turn 3. He had the run on the middle line there. I thought for sure, as you were speaking there, that Jim was going to be able to get Craig right at the end, because he did it perfectly to perfection there. Also, Joseph Morales back in 6th place did a little, Brian Wang did an over-under on Joseph Morales when he went in a little too hot. Brian Wang almost got himself a top 5 out of it as well.
Yeah, that was an exciting finish to say the least. You can see on the scoring pylon, Jim Brooks only 0.03 of a second behind Craig Forsyth, and Matt Wagner only 0.05 of a second. I mean, like you mentioned, did just about everything he possibly could have done on that outside line. It is so difficult to get outside of the leader without, or it's so difficult to get to the outside of the leader and make that pass towards the back of the backstretch. And definitely, the leader, Craig, able to make that momentum up on the inside of turn number 3 and able to have enough to get to the line first and take that race win tonight.
Yeah, where was Nick DeGroot there? I mean, he's definitely the kind of guy that just feels comfortable when he can lead and paint the yellow line, but you put him on the middle of the outside, he tries everything he can to make these crazy dives from top to bottom, and it just can't pay off when you're in pack racing like this, and the byproduct is that he falls all the way to 6th place.
Yeah, unfortunate for him for sure. Definitely falling back to 6th. Obviously, Jeff Heisong liking that a little bit, kind of softens the blow of the championship battle here. But we're going to take a second to have some interviews here with our top 3, starting with last week's winner. That was Matt Wagner. We'll bring him up into the broadcast booth. Definitely an exciting finish to the end of this race for everybody. And Matt, you were trying really hard on that outside line to try and make something happen, but just didn't quite have the momentum down the backstretch and through turns 3 and 4 to get that win tonight, but still settling for a hard-earned podium placing.
Yeah, I'm surprised I even had a shot to win the race. I made one bad mistake I missed my box completely, and that cost me about 3-4 seconds at least. Nailed the entry, but getting into the box, it was a different story. That luckily I caught up to William Gunn's draft, and it kind of saved me from getting up there. But as far as trying to get the win, uh, it was very hard to get a run because Nick was always up in that third lane. I'd have a huge run and just nowhere you can go with it. There was time where I pushed it four wide and trying to make something happen, and it just wasn't going to happen.
Did you find that you were really trying to uh, just stay in your lane and save fuel, or were you actually trying to get your way, or like did you have a lane that you preferred, a top or a bottom lane, as the run went on? Because it definitely seemed like cars were kind of transitioning from the bottom towards the top as the tires wore, but there were still some guys that wanted to paint the yellow line.
Yeah, oh yeah, there were some guys still out there who would, I guess, suffer from big tire wear and run that, as you say, the yellow line and that white line down there at the bottom. There was a couple bottom feeders down there, but uh, as the race progressed, the car wanted to go up the track more, and I wasn't going to push the issue. I was just saving fuel and just riding the top. I didn't want to sacrifice bad tire wear, and that way, when I come into the pits, it's not. I don't spin the car out with overheated tires, and that's as we saw there. I had no idea what happened on the first caution, but if that was to happen to me, I'd it'd be day over.
Yeah, definitely. And fortunately, it was day over for the rest of the night for Jeff Hysong after that first incident. But yeah, take us through some of that fuel saving strategy. I mean, pretty much as soon as that caution came out on lap, I think 27 or 28, that fuel saving strategy went out the window. And for the rest of the race, everybody was just trying to go, all full throttle, 100% full tilt for the rest of the way. Was that kind of fun to go for that after we saw at Auto Club? It was a bit of a more of a fuel saving mileage race and wasn't as exciting of a race. But was it exciting to go through tonight and know that every run that you were going to run as hard as you possibly could?
Oh, that was the plan from the get go. Run as hard as I could, as you saw there. I wanted to lead all the laps. I didn't care, because you can go about 25 laps on fuel and three pit stops. And I know the guys can't make it on three stops. No, two stops. Yeah, two stops. Did I get my math right? My math is
Yeah,
off.
two stops. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, so I know some of the guys who would try and feel safe, they'll still be short about 2 or 3 laps if they tried to feel safe. And I know some guys tried it but didn't make it, and it ended up being a caution. When that caution came in there, everybody started doing what I was doing, just go flat out. But I had a blast out there. I don't. That was fun. Hope we can do more of that. That was just tedious, but nerve wracking at the same time. But overall, it was quite fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely impressive to go over 70 laps green flag runs with that much action on track. So it was quite a treat for us to watch, and I'm sure quite a treat for you drivers to have some fun, and a treat for everybody watching as well. Obviously, Gael chiming in saying, "Oh man, what a finish!" So we appreciate Matt you running the green white checkered TV colors tonight. That beautiful paint scheme in honor of us. We greatly appreciate that. And besides us, tell the world who you want to thank for that podium placing tonight.
I appreciate you you guys in the booth for putting on a fantastic broadcast. Uh, I know the other guy over there on the other side of the microphone is doing a superb job. I'm really looking forward to rewind and listen to the broadcast because I know your insights are very good, and I love hearing you on the mic. It's truly fantastic. Like my thank my parents for watching as usual, and that's about it, guys. Y'all take care and have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate the words there.
Oh, most definitely.
All right, that is Matt Wagner, driver of the number 6 machine, third place on the evening tonight here at MIS. We've got a few more interviews to get through here. I believe next up we are going to have Jim Brooks in the 51 machine. Let's pull Jim up here to the broadcast booth. Definitely a treat to get to interview Jim. That was a hard fought second place, and man, you did absolutely everything you possibly could on that last lap to try and make something happen to get to the outside of that 27. But yeah, take us through that second place finish tonight.
I'm not sure had took a breath in the last 10 laps, but that was a lot of fun. No, there was no way to easily get by Craig. We were talking, and I pinned him down as much as I could, but it just wasn't enough to. I needed a little draft off of from behind coming out of four, but I'd done it a few times in the earlier laps to try to practice, and I got it once or twice. I think I led to the line, but it was just a total chaos with all those other cars all trying to sneak a nose in everywhere. So in the end, I was just happy to to be where I was and end up where I was without getting crushed.
Jim, I have to say, I watched the replay of coming through turn 4 into the finish line at least 5 times, and your line was absolutely perfect for someone in second place trying their best to steal a win, coming to the checkered for the overspeed. Did you notice that Craig had bobbled a bit a few times in the previous laps coming out of turn 4? He had a bit of a moment a couple times hitting the bump by pit lane. And were you expecting that if you had pinned him low enough there that you might actually be able to get ahead towards the finish line if he had done the same thing again?
Yeah, that was the only hope. Like I say, a couple times I think I got by him, and that's what it was. I had followed. I was mostly on the high line the whole race because that's usually how I do it until late. And I'd followed him or whoever was leading for a while, and it's holy crap down there coming off of four and all
Yeah,
the way
actually,
through
you might not have
the
even noticed.
tri-oval.
You might not have even noticed that he bobbled, but yeah, there was two out of 4 laps there that coming out of 4, the transition going down to the pit entry, he hit a bump or something like that and upset the car and lost all momentum, which allowed you to get the overspeed. Is kind of what I'm talking about into turn 1. That kind of gave you the idea that you'd have the overspeed to get him.
Yeah, that was the hope. Just keep him down, and hopefully it would get wiggly there on the last, the last corners of the last lap. But Craig's too good a driver to not really suck it up when when the race is on the line, and he did. And you know, finishing second to him is never a bad thing. And man, look at Nick way back there. I feel really good tonight.
Definitely.
One more
I'm.
thing,
Go ahead.
I was gonna mention your last pit stop also must have been spectacular as well because I was talking to Boomer during the pit stops of how the last strategy would go there, and it seemed like the front of the pack really fizzled out quite a bit. So you lost a lot of the energy to get the speed, whereas everybody that pit's going to find each other again and draft off of each other in order to uh, get more speed to overtake the guys ahead in pit yet. So, do you feel like your last pit stop also was pretty solid in order to get out right behind where the leaders were to get back in that pack again and make you feel a little more comfortable about battling for the win?
Yeah, it was right there. I was worried I was even going to get a black flag because I was a little fast coming in before I could finally get it slowed down. But it worked. Yeah, it was a good pit stop, but needed a little more than that. But again, being in the lead at that point was okay. But this is a single groove racetrack as far as pretty hard to pass. But we saw that it could be done. So, that was all I had to try to do it. But it was a lot of fun. It was good to run something like that here and be in it when it counted and get second. Yeah, I'm real thrilled about that.
Yeah, it didn't seem like you misstepped at all there, really, from the pit stop to the end. Like you tried your best to feel everything out and do the best you could. So that was a really solid run.
Yeah, I'm happy that the two races that I ran last, the third and the second here, I think I can't remember them all, but being so rusty and everything, I always worry about the mistakes and everything. So that's kind of two clean races. I'll take that and build on it and hope to go from there.
Yeah, definitely a great opportunity tonight, and I know from what I could see on the timing and scoring, I believe you were the only person who had a quicker time between down on the pit limit lines between those two lines on that last pit stop was actually Craig Forsyth. So definitely aggressive as you got in, like you mentioned, but enough to stay ahead. And we noticed that you were pretty aggressive getting back onto the track, trying to make sure you got right back into that draft. But you made it work, and like you said, those last 10 laps, maybe good to get a breather after that, I'm sure. But yeah, take us through. Anyone you want to thank tonight for that second place, hard-earned second place finish tonight, Jim?
Just a comment on that, merging kind of hard there. I think Craig gave me the hint because I was, didn't think I was so far out there, but all of a sudden he turned right in front of me. It's like, whoa, be careful there, boy. No, just thank you guys again for covering, and I know Gail's having a little vacation time up in Phoenix. That's good. I hope his daughter's birthday, Hannah's coming up, so happy birthday to her. And then thanks again to both my kids for all the effort they put out, Quavi and Gael. And yeah, Area 51 for putting on good shows and being able to be in the middle of it this time.
Yeah,
Don't worry,
definitely.
you know that Gael was stalking us all night, so he's enjoying a vacation, but he's not enjoying it too much.
So I did try to message him to see if he'd jump in for your interview. He said it's too loud where he is right now, but he wanted you to know. He said great job from him, so he wanted to make sure you got that message. And yeah, definitely a great second place finish. And anyone else you want to thank for the night?
Now that's good. Thank you guys for the coverage. A lot of fun, and Craig for running a great, clean race.
Yeah.
He's top of the line. That he's one of the better drivers we have. Obviously, Nick too, but Craig is always, clean and, never he makes his mistakes, but it's rare. And I always feel comfortable racing with him, and that was really good tonight. And congratulate him on a solid win.
Yeah, good deal. Well, congratulations to you too as well, Jim. Obviously, it's a treat to have you running again in the full motion rig, and hope your recovery continues to go well. But yeah, congratulations, and glad to have you back.
Okay, thanks a ton.
Yep, take care.
All right, we've got one more interview, and I think this guy's going to be pretty excited for that finish there. Man, that was quite a battle, and we're about to talk to the guy who came out on top. That would be the 27 machine of Craig Forsyth. Um, Man, that was a lot of fun to watch, and I think you had a lot of fun out there. At least it looked like.
Oh, wow, that was probably the best race, the funnest race I've run in ages. That was, I mean, God, it was everyone, Jim, Nick, Matt at one point, Will. Everyone was like pushing so hard and keeping me so tight. It was a lot of fun.
I think one of the uh, I hate to say this, but one of the more exciting aspects of that race was that caution at the start, which unfortunately you got collected in, and you probably used a fast repair. But it opened up the fuel window quite a bit. I was mentioning on the broadcast that everybody got into single file on lap 3, and it just became one of those fuel save races again. But the place where that caution fell allowed everybody to kind of just go full beans right after the green flag flew, and you could see that it was 2 by 2 for the next 70 laps or so, and that probably amped up the level of excitement for everyone, including people that were trying to win the race, obviously trying to get to the front. But I bet you kind of are jumping off that kind of feeling as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, the whole team there. I mean, Jim, Dan, and I, we were all settled in for the fuel save there. We were almost making, close to making the number. It was still, we were close enough that we weren't gonna break off of the strategy at that point. So it was gonna be another one of those slow races that you don't want to see at Michigan because it's way more exciting when it's flat out. So yeah, once that caution happened on lap 30, it put the fuel save 3 or 4 laps completely out of the window. So, or I guess 2 or 3 laps. There was no way to make it. So it was foot to the floor from there, and what you got was 60 laps of just excitement.
Yeah,
enjoyed the
definitely.
heck out of it.
At that first caution, obviously making contact there with Jeff Heisong as he got loose, but were you kind of worried there at the beginning? I would assume that you would have had to burn that fast repair immediately after that contact with the 18.
Yeah, unfortunately, the left front was wobbling all over the place. I was surprised it stayed on enough that I could bring the car back up to my position and get into the pits. So that was really lucky for me because I otherwise I would have had to tow. It was really close to the car being uncontrollably unstable coming in.
Did you for the last stint there, uh, you did the Nick DeGroot paint the yellow line around Michigan trick there. I saw you kind of get a little wobbly out of turn 4 a couple times. Did you actually hit that bump on the transition a couple times, or find the way that unsettles the car
Oh
on
yeah,
exit? Because you had a couple of moments there.
yeah. Oh, a couple of times. Yeah, no, I'd made my first. I think it was my first attempt to take the lead on Nick there. On the back, and I'd gone below the yellow line, so it was like okay, or the white line. So I was like, all right, give him back the spot, and then a couple laps later made the attempt again because I think at that point he was leaving it open enough. I think he was trying to gain some fuel on me, so I took advantage of it, and I figured from that point on I just wasn't going to give up the bottom. But you had to hold it so tight that you were playing with your throttle and the weight jacker just to make sure that you were maintaining control of the car. And yeah, there were a couple times I think I got a little squirrely even coming across the start finish line, the tri-oval part there. It's not really a tri-oval, but you know what I mean. Where yeah, I think Jim and I at one point touched, and it was close, but you had to maintain the bottom and you had to protect it. I mean, Nick made some amazing attempts to get under me. I think was coming out of 4 a few times. I think the first time he caught me completely by surprise, and I was like, oh, he went below the line. Yeah, please tell me he went below the line, and he pulled back, and I was like, okay, good, he went below the line. So at that point, I was ready for it, but he was making great attempts to get under me there.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah,
saw him try that a
there's a
few
couple of
times. Yeah. It was close. There was a couple I think where we saw him get underneath you, but underneath the line and kind of backed out of it per the the rules here. But I guess I want to know, take us through the move that you made to get underneath him and take that lead, because obviously that was the race winning move. I mean, what it happened probably maybe 15 to 20 laps before the end of the race, and I mean you were able to hold that line for the rest of the race, and that's really what got you the win. How did you make that move, and how'd you set it up?
I think it was on the earlier pit cycle. I think it was lap 46 or so, 45 or 46. I wanted to
Ah,
do
yeah,
it
my bad.
before the pit cycle, and I wanted to do it before the halfway point because I figured Nick wouldn't expect me to actually want to stay out the rest of in the lead the rest. So I think most of it really was Nick letting me go under. I'm like, doing a dive underpass. I mean, once I'd done it the first time and touched the white line, he was going to be expecting it to happen again. It was just I think he felt it was early enough that he'd let me run at the front and then get in front of me. And just honestly, I would assume he didn't expect me to just decide I was going to take the lead from then on.
Yeah, definitely a great effort, and I mean, yeah, that was. I apologize for that. Yeah, definitely right before that last pit cycle. I mean, like I said, that I think that was really what really ended up being the race-winning move for you, and you're kind of able to control the point for the rest of the way, and able to get that win. So yeah,
I got excited when I came out on the last pit cycle. I think it was 2.5 or 3 seconds ahead of the guys, and I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to be able to actually just have clear running the rest of the race? And I can't remember who it was that were still waiting to come in, and sort of got bottled up with them and couldn't put the foot down enough. And then just as those guys went into pit was what the guys behind me caught the draft, and it was like, oh well, that all right, we're gonna just have to keep protecting the bottom, I guess.
right. Yeah, at least between the lines on pit road under speed, the pit speed limit, you were the fastest guy on that last pit cycle. Obviously, I don't have the numbers for the in lap and the out lap, but you were faster than most by over 2 or 3 seconds, and that makes a huge difference. So I mean, definitely, I mean, a little aggressive getting into pit road, but definitely paid off, and you were able to get the win.
Yeah, no, yeah, I got to think. I mean, it was unfortunate for Jim. I know he got hit rear-ended it. Sounded like going into the pits. So otherwise, we're hoping to put all three cars into the top 10. But no, still a good night for the whole 4D Raceware crew. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm unfortunate to see Jim end early, but still able to make it back up there. Dan also finishing in the eighth position, but yeah. Now that you have the chance, is anyone else that you want to thank for this? I think your third win of the season, right?
I believe so. I have to thank my very patient wife for sitting beside me, wanting to eat supper and waiting for this race to end.
Good deal. I believe I heard her back in the background, so it's always good to have a wonderful support system at home. So congratulations to you. Another great win for the 40 Raceware team, and yeah, congratulations, and hope to see you do it a couple more times this season.
Oh, you betcha. I look forward to it. I'll talk to you again, Boomer and Andrew. Guys, have a good night. Stay safe.
Sounds
Yep,
good.
take care.
All right. You betcha. Definitely a bit of a Canadian saying there, but I spent some time up in the Upper Peninsula, and they say that quite a bit too. So it's kind of funny to hear that Canadian come out in Craig. But man, that was great. I mean, he really put on a clinic. He put on, like you mentioned, Nick DeGroot is so good at doing what he does on painting that white line, and Craig was able to take Nick's game and throw him off of it, and take away the win and in commanding fashion tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, we were talking about the points at the start of the race that Craig has one less race than both Nick and Jeff, and a race win for Craig and a bad race for Nick and Jeff spells trouble for the championship for those two.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Coming into the night, I believe he was over 60 points behind Jeff Heisong, but anything is possible as we get into the end of the season, especially if God forbid, if Nick or Jeff were not able to make a race. Craig's definitely positioned himself there to try and make a run. I don't think anyone's going to knock him off of that podium placing, especially after tonight's finish. But we'll have to see. Definitely still a battle in the points championship. Definitely not the position that Jeff Heisong wanted to be in tonight, but making that mistake early and unfortunately not able to really recover from it at all. So he will likely fall quite a bit behind Nick DeGroot in the point standings, but unfortunately we won't have those updated for you tonight. So we'll take you through the rest of the finishing order here real quick once, and yeah, see where everyone else ended up on the night. We pull up our race results here. Obviously, we already talked to Craig, Jim, and Matt, our podium placings for the evening. William Gunn finishing in fourth place and Joseph Morales in fifth. A great run for those guys pretty much all night long. Mentioned Nick DeGroot finishing in sixth. Not where he wanted to be, just wasn't quite able to set up those runs to where he can get back to the front and try to make a run at the win. But Brian Wang, a great effort for his first start here in the Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar Series. So congratulations to him in seventh place. Dan Marrera also finishing in the top 10. Chris Matthews and Gary Corley rounding out the top 10. Christian Alacio in 11th. Jeff Heisong, we mentioned already with his issues throughout the night. And Eric Peterson, unfortunately, believe they got into some contact, as I mentioned, on pit road. And Eric finishing one lap down in 13th after having a great run at times tonight. And we also saw Jim Herrick, his night was ended a little bit early, unfortunately, as well. So that'll do it for the not the grid, but the race results for the evening. Yeah, we've got two more races to go on the season. Next week we'll be at the Flash 1 mile of New Hampshire, the Magic Mile up in Loudon, and then we'll finish the season at Indy. Yeah, it's still going to be exciting, even though there's a little bit more of a gap in the championship battle, but still should be quite a bit of excitement left for the rest of the season, Andrew.
Yeah, New Hampshire should be a fun one. That's actually my Area 51 debut, and I won that race as well. So I have a lot of good memories of short track racing. I'm sure you remember from broadcasting in seasons past. It was always fun to kind of see where I would perform compared to these guys, and I miss it a lot. But I would be more than happy to sit back and watch these guys take the 1 mile oval in New Hampshire and see how it goes. And of course, Indy is, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the new track, the new scan. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how it races because it'll be something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I know we've mentioned quite a few times on the broadcast in the past, your prowess at the short tracks. So definitely going to be a bummer not to see you there, but hopefully we'll see you back in future seasons here at Area 51. But definitely have appreciated having you in the booth at least a few times this season. I know you, me, and Gael have kind of rotated through a couple times each week, but we really appreciate especially your expertise and your knowledge of these cars, and not only that, but also your knowledge of these drivers after running with them so closely and so often. Really appreciate what you've been able to bring to the broadcast this season, Andrew.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, just kind of relaxing and taking a different approach to this kind of thing. So I really enjoyed it, and I think the rest of the league kind of enjoys a different kind of flavor and voice on the broadcast they watch after the race as well.
Yeah, definitely. I know Gael and I have a ton of fun putting this on here at Green White Checker TV, but I know you guys really are the ones who have that expertise, and it's great to have someone who can talk to that that IndyCar technical knowledge, and it's been fun. But we've got a lot more fun to be had here on Tuesday nights at Green White Checker TV. Obviously, we always try to plug the Dark Horse IndyCar series here at Area 51 on Tuesday nights, but we've also got two other series going on Thursday nights and on Sunday nights. On Thursday nights, it is our truck series, Super Speedway series. So they have a lot of fun, lots of side-by-side action, big full fields, crazy action, as well as on Sunday nights they have the Xfinity Series stock cars at the super speedways. So lots of action on both of those nights. So be sure to check those out. Those guys are, I believe, in the middle of their playoffs, so running towards their championships as well. And in 2 weeks we will actually crown 3 champions on all 3 nights on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night. So be sure to tune in all week long here at Green White Checker TV for all the action that we have. And for Tuesday nights, and everyone watching the broadcast, everyone rewatching later, and all the drivers, all the fans, we really appreciate your support here at Green White Checker TV as we cover the Dark Horse Area 51 series. And I think that'll pretty much do it here for this week. See you back next week again at New Hampshire, and then in 2 weeks at Indy for the season finale. Make sure you don't miss it. There's going to be a lot of fun action, and we can't wait to have you back for it. For now, hope you all have a great week. Stay safe and take care.